up to scratch nowadays, perfectly mastered by the piping transport activity of Sonatrach. The operation starts with the definition of the layout and the topographic statements. A staking is carried out all along the layout. Once this operation is completed, the bulldozers come into action to carry out the excavations in order to allow for the opening of a service track. This service track is destined to pave the way for the various heavy vehicles, which will dig the trench where the pipe will be buried. This service track is also destined to helping the drays, which bring the pipe sections to the brink of the trench so as to be soldered, laid and buried, without forgetting the lorries for the transport of the tufa and the backfill. The width of the service track varies between 30 and 40 meters. Once the service track is completed, we shift to the opening phase of the trench. This phase requires the intervention of brick and rock vehicles when the field is rocky, and only a mechanical digger is needed when the field is crumbly. For a piping of 48 inches, the depth of the trench varies between 2.30 meters and 4 meters, according to the nature of the field, and a width of 2.40 meters. Once the trench is opened, the drays move towards the laying spot. A pre-alignment is carried out ahead of the soldering operation. The soldering is carried out in a semi-automatic and manual mode, a mode perfectly mastered by the Algerian solderers. Their acknowledged reputation in this field of endeavor is in fact known in various parts of the world. Here, the soldering operation is semi-automatic. It is carried out with the help of heavy vehicles called clams. After a special mechanical treatment of those sections to be soldered, the clam is introduced within the pipe and positioned on the verges of the sections due to be soldered. The engine adjusts the alignment and carries out the soldering within the pipe. The clam is then flushed out until the opening extremity of the last soldering point. The soldering operation is then repeated outside the pipe. Each soldering is then X-rayed in gamma rays in order to make sure of its good quality. The soldering is then cleaned with the help of fine sand before coating it with a coating layer. In other words, by retractable thermobands or in bi-hot component. At this stage, an identifying number is affixed on every section, which comprises all the relevant indications. From the manufacturer to the manufacturing date, all the manufacturing characteristics ranging from the on-site soldering indication to the identity of the person who carried out the soldering, as well as the geographic positioning of the pipeline layout. All these pieces of information are reported in a welding notebook. Sometimes, for telecommunication needs, a fiber optic cable is buried at the same time with the pipe. The soldered sections are then delicately laid deep in the trench with the help of a seed boom. The burying is completed with a covering of the piping by 80 centimeters of sand coupled with a small landfill before the restoration of the site in order to ensure the preservation of the environment. We start in the first place by introducing into the tube to be soldered an engine called piston scraper. Then we arrive at the hydrostatic phase, which consists in injecting into the pipe sections water with a pressure equivalent to the double of the natural gas pressure in circulation after the gas pipeline becomes operational. This test is followed by the phase consisting in the setting up of the severing posts destined to isolating the work in case of leakage. These severing posts are set up all along the layout at regular intervals of 15 to 20 kilometers in the south and 10 kilometers in the north of the country. This apparatus is completed by so-called cut-off posts set up every 80 kilometers all along the pipe. And in order to ensure the natural gas circulation inside a tube, several compression stations are installed according to the distances, the reliefs and the differences in level crossed by the gas pipeline layout. With regard to this pipe of 48 inches, a rhythm of 500 to 1,000 meters of pipe laying per day has been achieved thanks to highly qualified and reinforced teams, enjoying a technical backing from a seasoned managerial staff working by day as well as by night in the middle of a hostile nature made up of abrupt reliefs and plateaus of an extremely harsh climate, arid and hot in summer and freezing in winter. It goes without saying that for the achievement of such a work in optimum conditions of security and efficiency, Sonatrach sees to the stringent respect of industrial security required for this type of sensitive achievements. Sonatrach also sees to the strict respect of the working norms for its personnel, including qualification, the use of a well-tried material, in addition to the observance of the norms in terms of physical aptitudes of the personnel, as well as the maximum working hours in a given post of duty, and as a general rule, the implementation of international standards recommended in matters of hygiene and security. Be that as it may, the environment of a layout of a hydrocarbon piping is a datum intimately linked to any pipe laying project. The social fact is taken into account in this environment when the pipe crosses private properties, thus necessitating, after a due negotiation, a fair indemnification of the landowners. The public domain of the state has also its constraints for the company, which has to deal with them accordingly. This necessitates sometimes a bypassing and requires on the part of Sonatrach a just assessment of all these constraints with regard to the financial cost and the deadline for the achievement of the pipeline.